Hey, good evening, listeners and viewers. Welcome to this week in interview with your host and guide, Anthony Drago. Wednesday nights are my special nights because I get to spend an hour or so with you on this program, this week in interview, and that makes me super, super excited. Tonight, we are focusing on fathers and fatherhood because Sunday is recognized as Father's Day. So we plan to show some love to our fathers and the fathers in our lives, the father figures in our lives. What do we think about fathers and fatherhood? How much of a good job are we doing in terms of fathers? What are some of the challenges that and obstacles and opportunities that fathers encounter in playing their role as a father? That's what we have on tap for you. I don't have guests. I have input from guests. So tonight you have just me. I hope that by the end of the hour you can take a poll and say if I was sufficient for you just by myself, or if I really really need guests every week to make it um, worthwhile and to give it body and substance. But for tonight, it's just me. And as I said, we're speaking about fathers ahead of Sunday the 18th, which is Father's Day. Stay tuned and we'll be right back. Grab a drink if you need one, some water, some green juice, something of ginger. I don't know, whatever it is that's your favorite drink at this time. And in the meantime, I want you to share the live, however it is that you're looking at me right now. Send an invitation, call somebody, text somebody, tell them this weekend interview is on, and I think it's really great if you could join us. All right, so let's take our intro break, and we'll be right back. There's a link on the screen, a link tree /TDN network. So link tree is linktr.ee, linktr.ee, linktree /TDN network. You can send it to them. When it goes on there, they have options as to how they would like to sign in and listen, what's convenient to them. But share the live, invite somebody to listen because you know we're going to be talking about fathers, maybe in a way that you probably wouldn't hear it being spoken about anywhere else on social media. Quick break. We'll be right back. Except for sharing the live or calling somebody. Go and get your phone to call somebody. Stay right there. Don't move.
Crime is getting out of hand. No liar, no fireman. He said, what you wanna be then? Just like you. Me never ever see this, my mommy. Take care of me, you'd like you take care of me. That's who I wanna be. Just like you, yeah. No, if you don't know them, daddy, thank God me know mine and him take care of me. Daddy, I'm a general. Bust a blank for my daddy. From the day my born, he's always been there for me. Through the ups and downs, you know you've always been around. So every day me show you love and not just Father's Day alone. Daddy, let me tell you straight, there's no greater man I'd want to emulate. I know that Mandela and Obama great, but in my life you are my head of state. Like you, always see you kiss my mommy, hug up and squeeze and caress my mommy. That's who I wanna be. just like you, yeah. Enough you don't know them, daddy, thank God me know mine and him take care of me. Daddy, I'm a general. Oh, genius, bad done. From me a little youth, now me turn a big man. You ever teach me right, so know you never lead me wrong. Teach me how to love, respect and treat a good man. Mommy says she see her when she sees my face. She smiles, so there is no disgrace. Your love puts her in a happy place. So I gotta say I wanna be like you. Treat my girl like you treat my mommy. Kill her with love but don't abuse her body. That's who I wanna be, just like you, yeah. Enough you don't know them, daddy, thank God me know mine and him take care of me. Daddy, I'm a general. I couldn't sing another song for you. Realest thing from my heart, you know it's true. Daddy, I want my son to grow up and be just like you. I wouldn't want it no other way than like you. Yeah. Oh, like you, daddy. I want my son to grow up and be just like you. Yeah. Just like you. Me never ever see this, my mommy. Take care of me, you'd like you take care of me. That's who I wanna be, just like you, yeah. Enough you don't know them, daddy, thank God me know mine and him take care of me. Daddy, I'm a general. Daddy, I'm a general. Oh, you know one general in Africa. General, general. General, if you have a general son just like me. Genius man for general. Great one. Great one.
All right, all right. Just like you, being grateful for having a father that took care of him and took care of his family. That music right there tells it all. It tells the story of fatherhood and men. I know some nowadays to be politically correct, we cannot. Some people might say we cannot just assume that that daddy is a man because you have same-sex couples who adopt, and so there may be folks who have uh, two male parents or two female parents or vice versa, or the dad got converted. But for now, let's just stick with the general and most common roles that your father is a man, your mother is a woman, and whatever we say should apply to any situation as of a father, no matter what your gender identification is or not. All right. So when I say fathers and I refer to him and he, don't come for me because that's just what it is. All right. So good evening again. Good evening again. And for you, my regular listeners, it's always a pleasure and it's always special to spend this hour with you. I really appreciate you taking the time to come listen to this weekend interview. And I hope you've taken my advice, my request um, to share the link within your network. Invite your friends to come and get some of the edutainment that we have, where we educate you and entertain you at the same time in a different way, so that hopefully you can see things from more, not necessarily the same perspective, but understand each other's perspective, and we can build a movement. So you're listening to This Week in Interview on TDN Radio. You might be listening in Dominica through our one of our associate stations, RVR Jams Online Radio, who broadcast This Week in Interview live on DigiPlay Channel 59. Also, Radio SBE Online in the Toronto market area. They carry This Week in Interview live. And of course, we are on Facebook. This Week in Interview has its own Facebook page, so you might be seeing us on Facebook or on TDN Radio Caribbean Facebook page. We also, for those of you who don't do Facebook, we have tdntv.net. And of course, some folks are viewing us on YouTube because that is where they usually get their content. Some people view us on Roku and so on. And YouTube is TDN Network 1. However it is that you listen to us, please share it. There is a link that we usually put up, and if you go to that link, you can see all the different media where you can log on to join This Week in Interview. So I find that to be the easiest one to share. It is linktree.com/TDN network. So Linktree is linktr.ee/TDN network. All right. So let's say before the break, we are talking about fathers and fatherhood. So I want to start it this way. If you lost your father transitioned recently, our greatest if you lost your father recently, our deepest condolences to you. And even if it's not so recent, because when you lose a parent, you never really get completely over that grief. So those of you who have lost your dad, excuse me, our sincere condolences to you. I hope that you do have some fond and special memories that's going to soften the pain that you feel from losing contact with that person on the physical plane. A lot of us believe that these people, that our ancestors simply transition, and therefore they still communicate with us through the spirit. So if you believe that, then it means that you actually go to a beneficial position where you can communicate with that person constantly, no matter where you are, as opposed to when they were walking the face of the earth. Your one-on-one was whether they were in front of you or on the phone or otherwise. Either way, condolences to you if you've lost your dad, and if you've lost anybody in particular special to you in the last couple of weeks, months, whatever. May your memories that you have with that person ease the pain that you feel. Also, there are a number of folks who sometimes don't know their parents, or some they don't know their dad. They've never met their dad. They've never met their mom. Understand that you can get comfort in different places. Some of you are lucky enough to have an alternate father figure in your life. If not, we are lucky to live in the age of information where you can get books or you can watch movies, and I'm serious, because sometimes we can learn from the experiences of others. We don't have to learn everything ourselves. We don't have to experience everything ourselves. We leverage our development by learning from other people's experiences. And sometimes those experiences are in books. And so if you find a good book, you can identify with the message, either with the author of the book or the subject of the story. So those are some of the ways where you can actually go and get that feeling and that guidance that you maybe wouldn't get because your natural parent may not be present in your life. And sometimes, even though your natural parent or natural father is in your life, there may be other stuff going on that prevents him from being that father figure in your life. Don't make that have too much of a negative effect on you. You can find a mentor. You can find other ways of motivating and stimulating your positive energy to have a different result. And that segues into how we will want to approach fatherhood. How I want to approach the discussion on fatherhood is to really talk about the roles the roles of the roles of fathers in our life. And um, just as in the song, you know, he says, lucky that I know my father because so many young people don't. And I'm lucky to know my father and he took care of me. What is the role of a father in our lives, in our at the different stages that we go through in life? How is the role of a father different than the role of a mother? How are men suited more for the role of fatherhood than, say, women are for that role? Because, we have to, on Father's Day, we have to tip our hats to a lot of the ladies who are raising their families absent of a constant male input, a father figure, a husband, a significant other of the opposite sex. And so they're carrying both touches. Can a woman do that job as effectively as a father? And those are the debates that have been going on forever. I before the program, I sent out a little message and I asked you, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on fatherhood? And one of you says, her response was, "Oh boy, fathers, great topic. Children are these days clueless of whom and what a father is. Thus, the lawlessness, disrespect, lack of skills, etc. So in that, what I found is that response was in there identifying indirectly the roles that we see a father is supposed to play in the development of a child. So lawlessness speaks to fathers being a disciplinarian, all right? Um, Lawlessness and disrespect. So those two, how does a father help to inculcate, um, recognition of authority and the development of that respect for authority, and in a child? Does not having a father in the house kind of negatively impact that aspect of a young person? To say, your first example of restrictions on just behaving anyhow should be in your house, in the home where you grew up. There are rules that are set to, hopefully, there are rules that are put in place to help with the smooth running of the house so that your behavior and your attitude doesn't make it uncomfortable and unbearable for the rest of the people who are part of that house, who has to live in that house, your siblings, the mom, your dad, maybe your grandparents, whoever else is occupying that space that forms that family unit. Your behavior is not so disruptive and self-centered that it makes it uncomfortable for the rest of the folks in that house. So the first encounter that most of us have with authority and some sort of boundary on our behavior is in the home. And how do we approach that? And usually we expect a father to be taking the lead on that, right? And so therefore, um, the personality of the father will set the tone, whether it is harsh and abusive, whether it is soft and docile, because maybe the father doesn't want to anger the kid, so the kid doesn't really get that full pushback and constraint, or whether it's just right, and just right meaning that it is not one steady thing. Sometimes people understand that if you interact with somebody in an authoritative position, that person himself is a person, and in their reaction to your behavior might not be ideal every time. But how do you walk back to that? How do you shout at your kid, and then you realize that you shout at your kid, so you come back and you mend that fence? How do you interact with your wife, for example, and your kid is watching that and you realize that you did not do the best job? How do you walk that back in front of the kid so he sees or she sees that it's okay to make an error, to make a mistake, but to come back and to mend that broken fence. And so that response I thought was pretty cool, and also spoke about lack of skills. So fathers are usually um, in involving their daughters and their sons in the activities that they do. They pick up skills, they pick up study skills, they pick up research skills, they pick up skills of keeping commitments, of organizing yourself so that you can do all the things that you have to do. And then they can pick up skills like if the father is handy, um, show you how to fix a pipe, basic things, fix a switch, change a tire, whatever those like life skills that come into play. Learn to swim, learn to ride, learn to drive, and, interact in sports and those kind of things. Also speak to the role that a father might play. She spoke about empty love. So again, the interaction. How does that authoritarian figure interact with you, your siblings, your mom, your cousins, visitors to the house? Also, will inform how you develop attitudes and feelings towards other people, and how that role, when it becomes your turn to be a father or a mother, how does that play back in your head and inform you of how you should handle and manage that situation? One of the things that we have tonight, although we don't have any guests, is we got one of our artists who has been on with us recent times, Mr. Jules Pascal. He sent in some work that he did um, about his father, and he did it in Creole. So we have both the Creole and the English version, and I'm going to play both of them for you before we take our break. So let's continuing on the theme of father and fatherhood and fathers. Let's listen to Jules Pascal in his contribution to tonight's episode of This Week in Interview, which is in tribute to fathers.
Mwen ka chanje. Ou te la, le mwen te fet. Ou te la, le mwen ale kalpat. Mem si ou pa te la, le mwen komanse mache. Men ou te la, mwen de mwen apon pale. Ou te la pou kawese mwen, le mwen te ka plewe. Avec l'amour, quand yon tambour, c'est moi qui bat. Moi qui pressé, toujours, sans regretter. Quand moi qui changé. Ou te ka supporter moi, maman. Ça a été difficile pour lever nous toutes. Moi qui changé, bon matin. Ou te parti en route. Pendant moi couché, ka rêvé en cabane. Ou déjà descend en fond, ka planter figue, ramasser grain de pain, chouiller un pain, chouiller muscade. Ou fait tellement bitin avant journée la boute. Oui, moi ka changé. Maman te ka préparé nous pour l'école. Et puis, parti en montagne, bonnet pour joindre piou, pour j'en chouiller café. Et puis, moi, ka changé, il te ka chailler manger en un petit bol. Merci papa, merci un pile, merci un chai. Moi, ka changé, pour être un homme, un homme qui travaille. Moi, quand je change aussi, je dis que tu es wed. Mais tu as une responsabilité bien sérieux. Puis là, nous sommes malades. Tu as fait dité, raser pour remède. Ou montre moi comment pour travailler. Ou montre moi respect qui m'a jamais perdu. Ou foutez-moi 2-3 tapes. Laisse-moi mal carré. Ou bien, laisse-moi faire un petit mal cassé. Moi, qu'à changer. Ou pas te voulez nous jouer en la rue. Ou pas te voulez nous suivre vieux camarades. Ou bien servir vieux langage. Moi, qu'à changer. Un jour, comme parti, moi aller jouer en la rue. Mais un morceau de wine et puis un gros la pluie. Fais-moi courir. À présent, moi, qu'à oui. Moi, qu'à changer. Ou t'es là, le cyclone David, mettez-nous dehors. Mais on montre comment pour chamber wed et puis montrer avec rester fort. Moi, qu'à changer, ces braves là, vieux là, viande parfumée là, et avec tout dimanche nous te bouillis ensemble, là nous te enfants. Moi, qu'à changer, pli à pli. Mais si on continue à dire tout ça, mon qu'à changer, Zoke dit, monsieur, quick, quack. Mais quand parole là qu'a dit, balle fini, violon en sac. I can remember. You were there when I was born. You were there when I started to creep. Though you were not there when I began to walk. But you were there to teach me how to talk. You were there to caress, hug, and comfort me when I cried. With love, my heart vibrates like the drum beat. I appreciate it and will never regret it. You were there helping Mama to face the difficulties of raising us up. I remember, yes, I remember. Early in the mornings, you went on your way while I was still asleep in bed, dreaming away. That early, you were already down in the valley, cleaning, planting, collecting bread nut, picking breadfruit, picking nutmegs and cocoa too. You accomplished so much before the end of the day. Yes, I remember. Mama used to ensure we were prepared for school and would leave to join you up in the mountains. Early in the mornings, you went coffee picking. And I remember how Mama packaged your lunch nicely in a little bowl. I do remember, bless your soul. Thank you, Daddy. Thanks a lot. All those help me to remember that you were a man of courage and a worker. I can also remember how they said you were rough and tough and strict, but you shouldered your responsibilities and you never shirked. For when we got sick, you always had some bush tea prepared. I remember you taught me how to work. You really cared. You taught me respect, which I can never evade. You slapped me or whipped me when I got ill-mannered, or when I behaved badly and went off course. You did not want us to practice playing in the street, or follow bad company, or use language that was indecent, foul, or indiscreet. I remember one day, as soon as you left, I ran to the street with others to play. But immediately a heavy peal of thunder burst through the clouds, and an equally heavy shower had me running back in fright. As I remember, now I'm laughing with delight. I remember when Hurricane David almost left us homeless. But you showed me how to be strong in the face of disaster. Oh, I remember those times in the valley together when broth, crab, and callaloo, smoked meat we cooked together. I remember a lot more, much more. But if I continue, some of you may get sore and say, it's story time. But as the Creole saying goes, the dance is over, the violin is in the bag. But I can remember.
All right. That was Mr. Jules Pascal. Thank you so much, Jules, for sending this in. I really appreciate it. Stay tuned, listeners. We're right on time for our commercial break. And so stay right back. When we come back, we're going to have much more of our tribute to fathers and fatherhood this year, 2023. Let's get a word from the sponsors. We'll be right back.
Presented by.
People say I've got a great smile. Well, I have to say, this is all thanks to the professional team at Beacon Dental Group right here in Dorchester, Massachusetts. I've got world-class dental care. Beacon Dental Group has expert and caring staff dedicated to providing the most advanced and satisfactory treatment in all aspects of oral health. Their services are designed to meet your needs and give you a perfect smile, too. General checkups, cosmetic surgery, Gemini laser service, and advanced procedures, all in a state-of-the-art facility. Call or visit Beacon Dental Group today, 1026 Blue Hill Avenue, Dorchester, Massachusetts, or call 617-282-2146 for a smile that lights the world.
If you live in Canada, the US, and the UK and are looking for Dominica products including cocoa sticks, bay rum, coffee, soaps, crafts, and other popular Dominica items, then look no further. You can now shop on BuyDominicaOnline.com, a secure, easy-to-navigate website selling a wide variety of Dominica-made and Dominica-inspired products. When you shop on BuyDominicaOnline.com, you are helping to grow Dominica's economy. Go to BuyDominicaOnline.com and enjoy home away from home.
Looking to promote your business? Looking to promote your business, engage current customers, and reach new people? Well, look no further. From the basic presentation to a fully fledged advertisement, use your video ads to attract customers. At Man's Audiovisual Productions, we do just that. We produce videos for business and event promotions, product demo videos, animated explainer videos, fundraiser ads, and much more. Engage your clients and sell online. We customize the video to match your brand design. Guaranteed to play flawless on all devices, including smart TVs. Contact us at telephone number 203-690-4342 or 767-245-6238. Visit our website, mansaudiovisual.com, or email us at derekvideo@gmail.com.
Daddy had a real big man.
such a beautiful human being. You're the gift that keeps on giving. You're my father. You're my father. Mama still had that look in her eyes when you walked in the room. She loves you just as much as she did on your honeymoon. The sacrifices that you made, you tried to hide but couldn't conceal. That your love and protection is all we could feel. Love so hard, with arms wide open. You were my rock, you are my mountain. Your sacrifices go unseen. You're such a beautiful human being. You're the gift that keeps on giving. You're my father. You're my father. You are a comforting presence when everything seems so dark. You were the voice in the crowd whenever I needed a spark. I know the pressure to provide kept you up many a night. Daddy, your favorite words, no worry yourself, cause every little thing is gonna be alright. You love hard, with arms wide open. You are my rock, you are my mountain. Your sacrifices go unseen. You're a beautiful human being. You're the gift that keeps on giving. You're my father. You're my father. I treasure the things that make you proud of me. You're the perfect example of the man I want to be. Every tear of joy, every moment of laughter, every high and every low, only brought us closer. Your love so hard, with arms wide open. You are my rock, you are my mountain. Your sacrifices go unseen. You're such a beautiful human being. You're the gift that keeps on giving. You're my father. You're my father. Your love so hard, with arms wide open. You are my rock, you are my mountain. Your sacrifices go unseen. You're a beautiful human being. You're the gift that keeps on giving. You're my father. You're my father. Yeah, yeah. You always told me to keep my eyes on the prize. You're the gift that keeps on giving. You're my father. You're my father. You're my father.
You're my father. And you know, one of the themes that always runs through fathers, celebration of fathers, is that you are a lot of, yeah, sentiment. I want to be a man just like you. I want to grow up to be like you, which informs that fathers are supposed to understand that once you start having kids, and even if you don't have kids, once you are around young people, they're looking to model their behavior after you. And so you have to bear that in mind and let that be a guide for how you behave as a man, as a member of society. Thank you so much for that lovely poem, Mr. Jules Pascal. Invited him to come on the show. He was otherwise engaged, but he wrote those pieces, the same piece in Creole and in English. And so I appreciate that so much. Thank you. Happy Father's Day to you, um, Jules Pascal of Grand Fond in Dominica. And while I'm at it, I may as well wish all of the fathers here a happy Father's Day. Thank you for tuning in. And for those of you who are not fathers, because you may be mothers, aunts, whatever. Happy Father's Day to the men in your life. On Facebook, TG Joseph is saying, very nostalgic. He says, fatherhood refers to dads who are involved, nurturing, playful with their children. He is the provider, protector, teacher, leader, helper, encourager, and friend. Didi, good night to you as well. Well, I'm Mr. Drago and I'm the guest. It's a good night to Drago and guest source. A great poetry. I agree, Sophie. It was well written. And to think that he just produced that. He penned that within the week when we asked him to come on. What other comments do we have? There's another poem that is that was sent in. Let me just read. I cannot believe that we're approaching the end of the hour so quickly. It's something that's sent in by Sam George, and it reads as this: more than a dad, you're more the bread than the breadwinner. Your role is trifold, maybe six. You're my teacher, my guide. First, you taught me to be brave and stand up for myself. You taught me wrong from right, even if I sometimes disobeyed. You told me to work on my goals, encourage me to define myself and be all I want to be. From you, I learned that silence is listening, and listening is a blessed way to learn. I praise you now, for you taught me the way the man should be with his wife. You showed me that discipline is love, and it would be hate if you left me wayward. Father, without you, I would only be. Without you, a number I would only be. For that, I be eternally grateful. With that, I pray your cup will run on full. And that was submitted by Sam George. Thank you. Thank you for that, Sam. While I'm at it, I am going to just take in a few. There's a tremendous compliment that came in from one of you listeners on via text. And it says, this lady, she says, the best dad I know is my son. Isn't that wonderful? Best dad I know is my son. That is a mother looking on to her son with pride in the way that he is stepping into the role of father with his kids. And I thought that was something special. We have a couple more. Also got this. I think fatherhood is underrated. I think fatherhood is underrated. There are many great fathers who get lumped up with the other no good men who just happen to have children. Claytonic Clora said, can we consider every man who has a child as a father? We'll take that question in a little while. What does it mean to be a father? Then we also had something from my friend who says that I think both fathers and mothers in the Caribbean are doing well with their daughters, but the guys are lagging behind the girls in many things like education, social skills, and ambition. Since boys are the future fathers, I think fathers today need to step up the support and influence in the well-being of their sons. Those are just some of the feedback that I'm getting from you. The hour is racing by, but we again, if we go to the discussion of, because you intimate with a woman and she got pregnant and she had a child, does that make you a father? I guess in the same vein as somebody said, okay, you build a structure and you call it a house, you live in it, and the life that you create in it makes it a home. So does what transitions someone from being just a biological contributor to the bringing forth of a child into fatherhood? And I think we got a number of examples where you say, okay, you have to be you have to be responsible, you have to step up, you have to be there, you have to pay attention, you have to listen, you have to protect, you have to comfort, you have to be interested, and you have to be interested in the well-being of your child and of your family or the mother of your child or your children. That's what makes a father, to be able to every day stay consistent and ensuring taking responsibility for the well-being of your children, whether they are biological, whether they are adopted, whether they are stepchildren. If you are the one responsible for the well-being of that child, you have to make sure that that is being taken care of. So the answer, I guess, is no, not just because someone is just because someone is biologically related to to a person, that person is a father. A father comes with responsibility. What do you think about the comment that says that our girls seem to be um, taking the lead and running away with it, and our boys seem to be lacking, which would spell trouble because then our girls are going to be gangbusters and achievers and have all kind of accolades and position, and then they look for a mate, they look for a young man to share life with, to start a family with, and and they don't cannot find someone. Uh, what do we do about cultivating the next generation of fathers? And so, in that vein, there is something that I would like to talk about a little, somewhat, and just to put it in your thinking. How do we socialize our young people differently, especially in the Caribbean culture, where it is so natural. It seems so natural to for young people to become intimate, to get involved, and to have children with each other without necessarily having the intention of getting married or staying together for a long time. And so, in almost every household, you have that, how do you call it, multiple arrangement where um, the wife probably has one or two kids from previous relationships. And the father also may have one or two kids that are not living with him, or sometimes they come to live with him, but from a different relationship. Um, we would not want to ostracize anyone and go back to the days when having a child out of wedlock was frowned upon and people were stigmatized for that. But I do believe that there is some pushback that has to come from making it happen so naturally, that young people are sort of socialized and raised in a way where, when they be start to date and mate, that they think about it on a longer term than they seem to be doing at the moment. So, for example, you are 18 or 19 or 21 and you go to a dance or disco or club or somewhere, you meet a young girl, you guys become friends, you become intimate, and you do not give too much effort to preventing a pregnancy, and you have a child, you are stuck to each other. If you're responsible people, that is, you're stuck to each other for at least 18, 19, 21 years, forever, really. But I say that after that age, that child can probably take over the responsibility for their own well-being, but you are stuck for that long time. And if that relationship doesn't go much further, and you guys go your separate ways, you never can go separate ways. There's always that tie that's tugging at you, and so that affects you, emotionally. It affects the health of your relationship. It affects you financially and otherwise. I think there has to be a means of trying to steer, to bend that arc a little bit so that folks can start to don't go back into that stigmatization period. However, bring it to where, by the time you get into a serious relationship where you begin to get intimate, you do it with a perspective of permanence in mind, or else there's enough technology available that you more actively take part in not getting each other pregnant, or not getting the woman pregnant. The man has responsibility, the woman also has responsibility. That if you're not looking, um, if you're not thinking permanent, okay, so this person is good looking and you like to be together physically, the person is fun to be with, to go to dance with, but you already know that there are things about that person that you don't consider that person to be husband material or wife material, then take employ technology and prevent getting pregnant or getting her pregnant. That's what I would say to that, because we're speaking about fatherhood, and that expanded fatherhood does have an impact, especially if a man doesn't have the financial capability or the emotional capability, or a woman doesn't have that capability, or the person that is not husband material, there are now attached to that person. I think that that needs to feature in the conversation a lot more. And then, of course, how do we deliberately raise our boys to be more responsible? Because as is being suggested, our girls, there was once upon a time, the girls needed to be taken care of. How do we manage that and wrangle that so that the boys can be more responsible, can be ambitious and high achieving. um, Margot says, I would like to start with getting young boys more involved in household duties. Girls are usually the ones tasked with everyday chores, whether a father is present in the home or not. Boys need to be given more responsibilities. Mothers tend to serve their sons while the girls do the work. I'm not saying that it's in every household, but that's prevalent in our culture. And this is right. You see that happen a lot where a family has boys and girls, and mothers just lavish all of this spoiling, quote unquote, spoiling on the boy. The boys are treated as kings, and the girls are socialized to cater to them. And so the boys get raised with that understanding that they're supposed to be catered to by the females in their lives. And the girls may say, also my role is to cater to the men. And then that mother, she raises a daughter, and she's expecting her daughter to get a man who should share his portion of the responsibility, and who understands that his wife is not a servant. But then she raised a son that's going to go to somebody else's daughter with that same expectation. You see what I mean? So I agree. There has to be more um, of that equal sharing and that socialization, to understand that one person is not necessarily the servant of the other. There should be a mutual um, taking care of each other, if, so to speak. So I agree. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Folks, I don't know if you joined me after we started, but we're almost at the end. You're listening to This Week in Interview, and tonight our program is about fathers and fatherhood, because Sunday is Father's Day, and we're celebrating fathers. We're wishing them a happy Father's Day, and we're looking at some of the areas in which um, we can maybe do a better job. We can say our men are doing a good job as fathers. We went back and said that if you want good fathers, you have to start young with sons and boys. Um, so that I guess if I also say there was a major takeaway, would be that if you want good fathers, you have to raise responsible sons who are going to grow up to be good men, good husbands, good fathers. And you have to raise girls who are going to be women who will set that expectation on the men that they get involved with. Um, as a young girl growing up, how do you seriously look at a guy who's walking around with his underwear showing? Who is he advertising his butt to? Who wants to see his underwear? Um, I mean, the display of underwear, um, you know, what Clayton Explorer is saying, let's remember stepfather. Yes, I did, Clayton. I said, no matter how you come into that father role, whether it's through adoption, through marriage, you married somebody who has already kids. It might be your uncle, but for whatever reason, you are the father figure in that child's life. So yes, stepfathers play that role of fathers. Adopted fathers play that role of fathers. Biological fathers do that as well. And so we want to encourage all of society to really look at encouraging men to be fathers, to encouraging men to be to understand what your role is: a teacher, a protector, a provider, a disciplinarian, a cheerleader, all of those things. And that those things apply across the board. It doesn't have to be because it's men that it has to be football or basketball or gardening or carpentry or masonry and all of those hard skills. It could be if your child likes to debate, you could go and volunteer to be, I don't know, a judge. So you can get involved and you can help that child practice debate. Just get involved. Just get involved with your child. When they're younger, you're going to do things that's important and interesting to that child. When they are older, you guys might share similar interests, or you might do something that the child is interested in, just to show. Because the most important thing at the end of it is that your child has to feel important and valuable to you. Not that you do everything else, and when you have spare time, you have time to talk to your child. The child has to feel that they're important enough that you're making time for that child. So you play sports, you get involved with their schoolwork. If they have a hobby, you show interest in their hobby. You talk to the child, you find out what's going on with them, what's important to them. So we are at the end of the hour. So that I took a lot of your questions and comments. I very much appreciate you for that. I think it is great that that you participated so much. Reach out to a father, encourage him, tell him Happy Father's Day. Think about it and how it is that we can engage our sons a little more. So that they can develop that sense of responsibility, so that they can grow into men who make awesome dads. And just like that lady said, the best dad I know is my son, because she watches her son interact with his child, and she's just so proud of the job that he's doing as a man, as a father. That would be great if we can have that attitude towards all of the young men and not so young men in our lives. And if you're a father and you haven't spoken or you haven't shown up in your child's life for a little while, it's never too late. Um, Kids carry that longing and that wanting interaction with their father for their entire life. So even if your son is 50 years old and you don't have a great relationship with him, this is a good time to reach out. Just talk. Don't have high expectations. In fact, you might even expect to be rejected, because how do you not be present for 20 years and then show up and expect the red carpet? But go in there with an open heart and honest, and not with any expectation, but to give affection and to give attention. And I'm sure when that relationship turns around, you're going to be happy and really proud of it. By the way, folks, this episode of This Week in Interview is going to be repeated tomorrow night, Thursday night at 7 p.m., and on Sunday at 5 p.m. Okay, on all the regular media that we're seeing it right now. This Week in Interview, TDN Radio, TDN TV, YouTube. We're going to be repeating the episodes of This Week in Interview tomorrow at 7 p.m. and Sunday at 5 p.m. So those wonderful poems that were submitted by Sam George and by Jules Pascal, thank you once again for that. To you, my listeners who stayed on for the hour. Thank you to the fathers. Happy Father's Day. And to everybody who sent in a text or contributed or Facebook comment, I want to thank you for that as well. And TD Joseph says, very interesting question. I think every man who has a child is a father, but unfortunately, not all the fathers are dad. So I think right, but I think we messages out there that we have to take that role seriously and really, if we do a good job, just like the mother who said her son is a great dad. If we do a good job as parents, our kids are going to do equal or better job when it's their turn, and things can only get better. So this is where I'm going to leave it. Good evening to you, wherever you were joining me from tonight. As always, I appreciate you coming on board and joining. I hope tonight was the first time. I hope you come back next week because next week I believe we're doing something with I think it's men's health. We is it men's health or this? Yeah, it's either men's health or disaster. Today's the 14th, so we have 2 more Wednesdays. Yeah, I think next week is men's health, and then the week after that we're going to do something about disaster preparedness because it's hurricane season, folks. I hope you are not waiting for us to tell you to get ready. If you are in the line where in Dominica and some of the other islands where hurricanes affect you, make sure you have stuff to store your water, you have your flashlight, some extra batteries, you have stuff like that. You have some dry food that you have wrapped up and well protected so that even if it gets wet, they would be available for you after the storm. You have some first aid, something if you get a cut, you can disinfect it, you can tie it up to prevent bleeding. Whatever it is that you're off, and you know where to get information from in the case of a storm. You know where there's a hurricane shelter, you can go for help. If there are some things around your home that you need to do that compromises the safety and integrity of your home, now's the time to do it. All of those things, we will go over them as in the last week of June, but you could start that now because hurricane season have started. I think we've had our first 1 or 2 storms already. Luckily, they still out at sea and got dissipated out there. What else is going on? Those of you in Texas, I see you have a stream of very, very hot weather coming up. I will send you some cool over from New York to help you to deal with that, but stay hydrated, drink lots of fluid, stay out of the sun, don't get heat stroke, don't get dehydrated, and all of those things that come with that. And so, with that, I want to say, folks, a very good night to you. And I hope you enjoyed tonight's program as much as I did. As I said, hit me up, let me know if I was sufficient for you by myself, and if it's okay for me to do this every so often as we go through week after week of This Week in Interview. We have so much fun. All right, folks. We'll see you again next week, Wednesday. Have a good night. Have a good remainder of your week. And I hope everything works out well for you until we see you again next week. Remember, we repeat this episode tomorrow at 7 p.m. and on Sunday evening at 7 p.m. Because I do get so many inquiries from you as to where can you catch the episode. If for whatever reason you couldn't make it to listen to us live, and so at 7 p.m. tomorrow and at Sunday 5 p.m. you can catch a replay of tonight's episode. So have a wonderful evening. Thank you to the team behind the scene who makes all of this work that we do to bring you This Week in Interview possible. I really appreciate you guys making me look good on air. Thank you so much.